Welcome, everybody, to the Grow Patiently Healthcare Success podcast. I'm Hugo Trace. Thank you for listening. I'm here with Shayla. Shayla, let's pass it straight over to you to introduce yourself.
Hi, I am Shayla Love. I'm the director of Regenerative Medicine for Chicago Arthritis and Regenerative Medicine. And I've been here for about 3 years now. And we specialize in orthobiologic procedures in rheumatology.
Great. Yeah, excited. I'm really excited to have you here. So thanks very much for coming. I want to ask my first question, which is that you're based in Chicago. I've not been to
Mhm.
Chicago. Let's say one day I come over there and you say, look, Hugo, you've come to Chicago. This is what you've got to do. This is where you've got to go. This is what you've got to eat. What have I got to do to experience Chicago?
First of all, come in the summertime for one, so that way you get a chance to see the beautiful beaches. We have beaches off of the bank of Lake Michigan, and all of our beaches have sand imported from the Caribbean. So it's real sand from like Jamaica and Cuba and other places in the Caribbean, which is really cool. And then as far as eating, Chicago is a melting pot, sort of like the rest of America, but for some reason we happen to be really condensed here. So there are all different sorts of nationalities and cultural heritages based in Chicago. So I do like to highly recommend Italian food in Chicago because there is like a whole little Italian neighborhood where you can get authentic Italian food. And I've heard a lot of tourists say that they prefer Chicago pizza over New York pizza any day. So definitely highly recommend getting a flavor or a taste of our pizza. And then I also would recommend we have a lot of good tacos around here. So if you like tacos, definitely stop at one of the authentic Latino taco trucks here.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you. Yeah, I'm really keen to get to Chicago, to be honest. It sounds like an interesting place. I can't believe that you've got sandy beaches there on the lake. I did not know that at all.
Yes, yes. I cannot believe you didn't know we had beaches here. It's one of my favorite things to do in the summer. It's just to take a walk along the beach. I actually just did Pilates on the beach on Saturday, which was really fun. Our beaches, we grill there. We have plenty of beach clubs. It's an amazing site, especially if you get over to Navy Pier. Navy Pier is a must-see when you're visiting Chicago. We have the biggest rooftop in the world here in Chicago. It's called Offshore, and that's at Navy Pier. So you get a view of the beach as well as our famous skyline.
Well, you give it a great review, that's for certain. Thank you
Yeah.
for that. Right, let's dive into it. So, why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about how you got into healthcare, your journey into working uh, with your regenerative medicine company? Tell us.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was asked what I wanted to be in sixth grade, and I came up with a bioethicist. That was my dream career goal as a sixth grader. And what a bioethicist is a person who makes laws on what doctors can and cannot do, or what medical practices can and cannot do. So it's a form of legislature. And that desire came from me wanting to be a lawyer, but also wanting to really help people, and not wanting to put myself at risk working criminal law or being bored with documents, ciphering through like traffic. Who wants that? That's not my taste, at least. So I wanted to make sure I was really doing something with my life and that I could actually help people. And so as I grew older, I eventually went and got my bachelor's from the University of Northern Illinois, and I got my bachelor's in philosophy. So my intention behind that was to go to law school, but in the meantime, before once I graduated, I'm like, I need to work. So I ended up in the healthcare industry. I started out as a patient coordinator and then became a practice manager over at Bain Clinics of America, managing multiple clinics there. And then they ended up being bought out. So I came over to Chicago Arthritis and Regenerative Medicine, which I was attracted to because throughout my collegiate career, a lot of my ethical classes focused on the use of stem cells, and that is something that we specialize in here at Chicago Arthritis. And so that's what encouraged me to apply here because I was just interested in what we actually do. And throughout my career here, I was getting married, so I ultimately ended up, once BCA was bought out, I ultimately ended up taking a position here as an office coordinator because my husband and I were planning a wedding and I needed money. So I was just like, I don't care about the pay cut, I just need a job. And then coincidentally, the position opened up for the patient liaison here. And so I began working with the patients and focusing on the procedures and concierging them through their procedure process. And I ended up doing so well in that role and developing the department itself so rapidly that I became the director of the regenerative medicine department here at Chicago Arthritis. And that's how I ended up in this chair talking to you today.
I love it. Yeah, it's funny how the world works like that, that you were looking into these regenerative medicines at
Yeah.
university, and now here you are. Because I do a bit of work with regenerative clinics as well. We have a few that we work with in terms of our marketing and things like that. So
Mhm.
I've been learning a lot about stem cell and PRP and things like that. It's
Awesome.
it's so interesting how it really seems to be growing around the world. And
Yeah.
sorry, I could hear myself just a little bit. But yeah, it's really interesting to see how it's really expanding around the world. And so I wanted to ask you, what sort of impact is that having on your clinics in terms of are you seeing a natural increase in awareness nationwide and that having an impact on the patient numbers and things like that?
So, I'm sorry, am I seeing an impact where?
So are you seeing an impact in the patient numbers from the fact that awareness of things like stem cell is increasing?
Oh, yeah. So, honestly, I can say yes, because this year we've had some record numbers and procedure conversions and revenue. So I'd have to say that has a little bit more to do with people really becoming aware of stem cells and our body's own natural healing and growth factors, and also wanting to avoid surgery.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, not to take anything away from the great things that I'm sure you and your team are doing as well to increase the awareness. Let's talk about that because ultimately that's what I always like to focus on is the marketing and the growth of businesses. So
Mhm.
what do you all do to really to have those record numbers that you mentioned? What have you been doing that you can share with the listeners?
So as we've discussed previously, this is a private practice, so everything is done in-house. We're not like this big corporation that has like all of these, different cost centers or like 30 people on the marketing team. Like our full staff is a staff of 15 people. So we had to implement like we I was just talking about this earlier in a meeting, how we made the transition from working in Excel to using a CRM, and how that CRM has made us able to convert more leads, convert more procedures, and really manage our customer relationships, our client relationships. Along with that, we've began using campaigning tools. So sending out newsletters, and the doctor is also doing webinars on the biweekly basis discussing all of our services.
Yeah, that's interesting. There's so many tools and different things that can be used to increase the awareness. Is that a part of the job that you enjoy? What's your favorite part of the day-to-day work?
So, actually, my favorite part, because I still work with all of our procedure patients, my favorite part is getting testimonials from the procedure patients. They're really tear-jerking for me because I put a lot of work into making sure they have a seamless experience. And so when a patient says, like, hey, I had tremendous results from this procedure and everyone that I worked with was great, or, just getting that recognition and seeing that they had good results from the procedure, um, that is definitely my favorite part of the job.
Yeah, that's interesting. It does feel nice when your work is clearly resonating with people. And it's interesting because
Yeah,
what you were saying at the very beginning in terms of your journey is that you wanted to feel like you were really making a difference. And then later you said that you really
exactly.
wanted all the patients to have a great experience with the
Yes.
CRM. So that's obviously a key part for you. What about this? What do you do to, we often refer to it as the wow experience. What do you do to
Yeah.
give patients that experience where they think, wow?
Yeah, client service is number one, especially at a physician's office. A lot of those times, even I've had an experience at my doctor's office where I felt unheard, or I felt like I was being rushed out the door, or, the details were not really recognized. And that is something that Dr. Tambar, the owner of this practice, really focuses on when he's with his patients. He takes his time and he is very detail oriented, and that makes our patients feel good, and it rubs off on the rest of the staff as well. Like, it encourages us to take our time and to be patient, because we want our patients to feel like they're the only thing that matters in that moment. And we also want them to trust us, especially because we are specializing in regenerative medicine, which is something that we cannot guarantee results for. So it just helps them have like that much more confidence in us that we are able to help them.
Mm. Yeah, it's so important in a new field, especially with regenerative medicine, that
Mhm.
people often don't really know too much about it. So the trust element is actually quite hard. That's an
Exactly.
interesting point that we can maybe then talk a little bit about AI. I know we've spoken about this before, and that impact that it may or may not have on things like patient trust. How are you in the clinic using AI, if at all? What are you thinking you're excited for, or you're definitely not going to use?
Um, so in general, I feel like AI can be a great tool if it's used properly. I do feel like there are some risk factors and just a little bit more research that needs to be done regarding AI. And it's just a new world. Things that used to be science fiction are now becoming our reality. And we don't have the research behind it to give us all the confidence that we need to implement it, in a full way that is functional for our practice. While some other companies I know are like super excited about it and they're laying off their employees, we are more so in a space where we are focused on automation and how to make things easier for us. Because ultimately, that client service part is really like what's important to us. So, a lot of people are still not as comfortable dealing with AI tools compared to dealing with humans, directly. And even like with us, we're based out of the US, right? So we have a few remote staff that are office coordinators of ours that are based out of the Philippines and based out of South America. And we still get patients like, oh, you're not in America, or so people don't even have enough comfort sometimes to speak with someone overseas, let alone like for us to fully convert into an artificial intelligence tool. I feel like that would probably tick a lot of our patients off, especially because our patient demographic is generally 45 plus. We get those anomalies that are like in their early 30s or that may be even younger than that, but generally we're working with an older community that may not be privy or comfortable using tools like that. So in our practice, we're more focused on automation than anything. We were interested in using like an AI chatbot just to help with lead conversion itself, but that seems to be unreasonably priced for us at this time because AI is such a new resource and bigger, larger companies are just trying to maximize on their profits while they can before it becomes more accessible.
Yeah. It's so interesting. I mean, it comes again back to your patient experience, really. All of your answers are about that. Because, like you said, you've got people with mobility struggles, pains,
Mhm.
not always, but often it's in the older generation. So they want to speak with a human. They really do. I mean, AI
Exactly.
will get there. It will get there. We're going to
Yeah.
be taking orders, giving orders in restaurants and things. So AI is going to
Hmm.
be crazy. But yeah, for now, not yet. And it's interesting. I saw this thing the other day actually about a supermarket or a grocery store where they kept one line to be a specifically slow lane for people of an older generation who could come and take their time to see the cashier and actually speak with them and share a moment. And I thought, oh, that was really nice. And it kind of goes hand
Hmm.
in hand with what you're talking about. They want to really connect with the practice and
Hmm.
trust before they come in. So, okay,
Yes.
would you say that this patient experience is the key reason why you've had such explosive growth over the last, you know, couple of years? Or are there other things that you think really helped as well?
So the patient experience definitely plays a big role in that, but also just having the capacity and bandwidth to reconnect with patients continually. I notice that plays a big role because I mean, I know I'm guilty of it. There's been times that I've been, ordered to follow up with my PCE or my PCP or, to come back later for a visit. And I don't. I've done that at least twice this year already. So being able to reconnect with patients plays just as much of a role as the patient experience because the more that we make those reconnection calls, the more people that we're getting back into the office. And the more patients that we're getting back into the office, the more revenue. So definitely having the capacity to reconnect with patients in a timely fashion plays a role in that as well.
Yeah, it's something that often comes up again and again on this podcast is the importance of long-term relationships. I think so many
Yes.
people, even in our lives, we've got so obsessed with the five quick steps to getting something in 5 days and things like that. But
Hmm.
actually, it's the long drawn out that really typically leads to good success, I think, or certainly in healthcare. So,
Right.
okay, let me ask you this. I think this is going to be our last question because I know we have a relatively short period of time for this one, which is that if you were going to meet yourself, having just started at the clinic again, and you could only give them one piece of advice to
Hmm.
really make sure that they have an amazing impact on the business, what would that one piece
Hmm.
of advice be?
That is a great question. If I were to meet myself 3 years ago, what would I tell myself? Not that I hadn't been doing this already. Um, I would just remind myself to be a good steward and to take it one day at a time. Don't overload myself and focus on putting my best foot forward every day. It
I
will
love
pay
it.
off.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's lovely. Well, Shayla, thanks so much. I really appreciate you coming in and sharing your story. I'm sure the listeners will have thoroughly enjoyed that. If anyone does have any questions, they can reach out via me, or maybe they can reach out directly to you. I haven't even spoken to you about that, but why not give a plug of where they can find you?
Yes. Okay. So, LinkedIn under Shayla Love, please feel free to message me or post kind things on my board. And then you can also reach me by email at slove@chicagoarthritis.com.
Lovely. Okay, Shayla. Well, thanks so much. And thanks to all of you listeners. As always, I really appreciate it. If you have enjoyed it, then definitely like, subscribe, do all those kind of things because, if this has resonated with you in some sense, then by doing that, it kind of helps the algorithm and spreads it out to other people that it may well be useful to as well. So thanks so much in advance for that. And Shayla, thank you again. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. It's been my pleasure, truly.